But Clyde, I do want to ask you about the revelation of her relationship with Prince to you. Do you remember when she told you about this?
Well, okay, so we became friends over the course of the years, and uh, somewhere along the line, she did tell me that she once dated Prince, and of course, I knew she was from Minneapolis, so I'm like, okay, um, uh, so when the revelation came about the little Corvette, I thought, whoa. Um,
Actually, she told me, "Are you sure you want that out there?"
I did. Because I thought that I was now as my friend, I got into protection mode. I thought, okay, there's so people are so crazy out there. They're going to try to discredit you and demean you in every which way. I don't know that you want to even mention this to anybody.
Yeah. And it had already got out through a friend that just decided to put me on, blast.
I just know that I was really worried for her about disclosing that, and then I says, you are going to have people actually corroborate that for you before you actually put it out there.
Yeah, and of course we had the people, but it was difficult. It was difficult because David was out there, and remember we were going to interview Jerome at one point, Jerome Benton, mm-hmm. And it was a tough thing for me to go all the way after it was already out there. And then you were also protective of my husband and my family. Mm-hmm. Again, and this is what I was talking to City Pages about, when I was even younger than that, when we were both starting out professionally, this is not the kind of song you want to tell, the radio station you work for or the newspaper you're writing for, because there's going to be some people are skeptical because he's such a huge star, even
Sure.
though to us it's just Prince,
Indeed. And, well, that's really cool, Clyde, that you thought about that, whereas maybe other people would think just the opposite. Oh, yeah, let's tell everybody. And especially, of course, now, after his passing, you have a lot of people that are, circling like vultures. What advice at this point have you given her about this endeavor, this book that she's writing? Have you shared any wisdom or given her any advice as she goes forward?
I have. I even, I had started, editing it for her, and then had to, my work schedule is so busy, so I couldn't continue. But, just to make sure that everything is as documented as possible. I mean, it's her story to tell, frankly. So just be as her authentic self as she can be.
And that's why it's taken me so long, because when Prince first died, and actually, by the way, before Prince died, you guys, when I ended my column with you sent a crew over to the house, and we did like a closing of the column, because I just couldn't do it. I was done, and I was going to quit the radio show. I quit my radio show and the column around the same time when I turned 50. And remember, you sent one of the ladies out. She did an interview with me, and we talked about Easter stuff because my house was all ready for Easter.
That's right.
He actually did mention me dating Prince in that interview, because apparently she knew. I mean, I don't know if I had mentioned it to her or if it had just been mentioned in the other book when I talked about people from Minneapolis, the Ask Mi-Ling When You Want the Truth About Decorating book. Mm-hmm. But, I was always forthcoming about dating Prince. But again, I was working on the book, as you can, from when I was in grad school, I started actually putting it together in 2001 under a different type of book. And then when he passed away, as Clyde knows, she's, was there when I was crying my tears of whatever. And, I knew that I needed to tell that story because, at the end of the day, that was one of his most love songs, and there's a story behind it that's incredible, that helped carve that path for him. And it's historical. And so I just felt like I needed to do it, but in my own way. I wanted to touch on all the things that happened to me growing up, again, like I did with my columns, and try to help people. Otherwise, there's really no purpose. If you're not going to write a book that's going to add something to someone else's life other than just, oh, yeah, she dated Prince, she was Little Red Corvette, why was she the Little Red Corvette?
Indeed.
And what was her journey?
Indeed.
And why was she so important to him?
And Clyde, I want to ask you, since you were editing the book for a while.
No, don't be giving no secrets out, Clyde.
No. I am not going to try to bait her into doing that. But what I am going to ask her and ask you, Clyde, as you were reading the pages, as you were going through it, were you surprised at how it was shaping up based upon the subject matter? And surprised in a pleasant way, right?
Yes. Well, I did tell her to be her true self in the book, and she is. At least what I read so far. Learning about some of her experiences, some of the things that happened to her along the way when she was younger, the way she was perceived by people at some points in her life. That was surprising to me, yes, because the Mi-Ling I know is this strong, assertive, professional woman who, and family woman who cares about her community and her family. And to know the journey that she that got her to this point, it's another reminder to me anyway that you really don't know what people endure in their lifetime or what has happened to them in their lifetime. So you really can't judge.
Right.
You really can't judge someone. Yeah.
Everybody has their own story, their own path, and
That's right.
And Mi-Ling has one very interesting one for sure. Clyde, I want to thank you for taking this time to give us your insight on the woman called the Little Red Corvette, and I hope that your editing continues with the book. I can't wait to read it. It's going on, wow, it's 3 years, I guess, over 3 years now since Mi-Ling decided to, like, okay, I'm going to tell this story. But as the old Ernest and Julio Gallo commercial, we'll have no wine before it's time. So I guess we won't have the Little Red Corvette book until it is absolutely time. Mi-Ling, you got any parting shots before we get out of here?
Well, yeah, Clyde is always going to have, firsthand knowledge about the book, but I did hire Sherman Turntine out of California because she's just too busy with what's going on at the paper. Yeah. So she, and I think it's better for us as friends because I think it was hard for her to read. Some of it was painful for her, I think, to read about things that I had gone through. And so Sherman doesn't know me. He's just an editor. You agree, Clyde? I mean, it kind of put a strain on our relationship.
Well, I don't think it did, frankly. I think you did right by hiring someone to finish edit it because, frankly, for me it was a time constraint issue.
Well, yeah, but it also, I think, in my heart, it was kind of. I mean, I would have loved to have you on the whole road, but I'm just saying, I remember you saying to me, it almost made you cry, and then being concerned about the family and the kids and the hubby, and you know what I mean? It was hard. I think she was torn on some things, that I should put in, and I get that. you know, because she's close to it. But she did a wonderful job, and she's always been there for me. And I was going to say something else, too. One of the reasons why, Darren, I think it's taking me so long, well, first of all, there's been some illness in my family, as you know. I've had surgery. It just seems like one thing after another. But because I am a journalist, I'm checking my facts. And I'm trying to prove myself wrong on some of these other things that I'm searching for. Not Little Red Corvette, but, you know, you just always want to find out. Some of the other songs that I have been told were about me that I am including in the book, I want to try to be as, you know, careful as I can, because this is Prince's legacy. And but some of the stories are pretty, you know, pretty incredible, the way he writes songs based on conversations and things that you have, you know, with him personally.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that.
Oklahoma's been a journey. Kansas City was a journey. KU was a journey, you know, but it all started in Minneapolis. So. Indeed.
Well, we are still patiently waiting for the book, but again, when Clyde said that when I heard you say that Clyde had shed a tear or cried during reading it, in my opinion, that's a pretty good sign. You know, if you can read something and it moves you to tears, regardless of whether you know the person or not, I think that's a good sign that we're in for quite a ride when we begin to open up and crack open that book that's coming here in the near future. So, Clyde, Mi-Ling, thank you so much for being here as we continue to go through this journey and take this thing to wherever its logical conclusion will end up with a book. And again, this is Story Behind the Music. We have the Little Red Corvette, Mi-Ling Stone Poole, also Clyde Bunyan, who is our dear friend and also an editor at the Oklahoman, just kind of giving us a background on their relationship and the woman that she's gotten to know over the last. How long have you been in Oklahoma now, Mi-Ling? 20 years?
About 25, but I met her in 2006.
2006.
Yeah,
Wow.
13 years.
13 years. Okay, so
professionally and friend-wise, so yeah.
Wow. So we thank you guys for your time as well and the insight as we continue again to tell this story. We look forward to more interviews with people in Mi-Ling's life that can give us some more insight on who she is and who she was and who she was to them. And as we continue our journey with the Little Red Corvette, Mi-Ling Stone Poole, I'm Darren Story. This is Story Behind the Music.